Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial. I'm going to show you how to work the Tunisian crochet smock stitch. It's a beautiful stitch which creates an interlocked pattern of V's, and it's quite simple. Here I have a typical Tunisian swatch consisting of simple stitch. The stitch begins by working a yarn forward, which is where you place the hook behind the working yarn and hold it there with your index finger. Then insert from right to left into the next two stitches of your work, which are typically vertical bars, yarn over, and pull the working yarn through both stitches. You see here you have to keep your finger and hold that yarn forward in place, otherwise it falls forward and gets in your way. So when you do that, you've basically created two stitches. One is the yarn forward on the right and then the regular stitch on the left. So yarn forward, insert through the next two stitches, yarn over, and pull through both. Yarn forward, insert through two stitches, yarn over, and pull through both. The trick here is the yarn forward. If you're used to doing a yarn over, it is a little bit different. You simply place the hook behind the working yarn and then hold it against the hook with your finger. I want to show you an idiosyncrasy of smock stitch on the back pass. The stitches are going to be grouped together in twos with the yarn forward crossed over the other stitch that it's paired with. This can make it a little bit difficult to work, and here is what I do. I yarn over and I pull through two if it's easy to do so. But then when they're crisscrossed over one another, they're kind of tightly clumped together and they're difficult to separate and also difficult to work in the right order. So I yarn over, pull through all three, which is of course a mistake essentially. You only wanted to work through two, so you reinsert the hook under the yarn forward, which is the rightmost stitch, and then pull through two. So again, yarn over, pull through all three, reinsert just under the yarn forward, which is the rightmost stitch, and then pull through two. That's how I do it. You'll work out your own way of dealing with that. Now I want to show you what it looks like after you've worked a row of smock stitches, so you're working into existing smock stitches. Your smock stitches are going to look like V's, a right side up V with a right and a left arm. In order to work these together correctly, you need to think about joining together the right and left arms of two adjacent but separate V's. It's like you're linking together one V with its neighbor by working its adjacent arms. What you never ever want to do is work together the two arms of one right side up V. That is never the correct way to work smock stitch. So let's do it. Yarn forward, find the left arm of the V you've already partially worked, which can be a little bit tricky at first, and work it together with the right arm of the next V. Work those together in a smock stitch. Yarn forward, find the left arm of the V you just worked, and work it together with the right arm of the next one. And in that way, you're sort of cross-linking two neighboring V's together. If you think about it that way, you'll never get it wrong. Here I'm going to accidentally skip the left arm and start working the next two stitches together, which form a V with each other. That is not what you want to do. That would be a mistake. So again, go back, find the left arm, work it together with the right arm. Before we finish up, I want to show you what it looks like when you're working smock stitch in the round, which is relevant for my placemat patterns. The smock stitches in this instance look completely different. They look either like an X or an upside down V, but if you look for an upright V, they're quite splayed and pulled apart, so that's simply not what the stitches look like. They look like either an upside down V, or if you look at the top where they're crisscrossed, they look like an X. So working them is actually quite simple. Do your yarn forward and insert the hook under both arms of that X or inverted V, however you're thinking about it, and pull through both. So again, whether you see it as an X or an upside down V, you work those two stitches together as they're grouped in the work. So in a way, it's actually simpler. Yarn forward, insert under both arms of the X or upside down V, and pull through. Finally, I just want to show you what it looks like when stitches have been created using an increase in the previous row. for this first one is fairly normal. I'm going to work it as a smock stitch as usual. Now the next one, you see those are the two V stitches, and the inverted V or X that you're looking for is actually quite pulled apart, as it would be in, I guess, regular smock stitch. Don't be fooled by that. Those are the two arms of the stitch that you want to work. They're pulled apart because they were created using an increase method in the previous round, which I'll show you in another video. So work them together, and this next one is also pulled apart in that way. So it just doesn't look like the typical X or inverted V, but you can see that the stitches are pointing towards one another in a general V shape. Now this next one looks more typical. The stitches are crossed over each other in a clear inverted V, so just work it as you normally would. I hope that helped. Thank you for watching.